This is where Ryan pulls out the Pinocchio card here as we talk about the Beauty and the Beast. Ryan, tell us why it's your least favorite of these 10 films.
To hell with all y'all. Hell with all y'all.
Such a beast.
No,
Such a
I will.
beast.
I will be. Listen, I already know I'm going to be fighting an uphill battle tonight to get to number one. So I at least am going to enjoy the fact that this will be number one for like a minute. I think that this is the best. I'm going to just say it. This is not just the best movie of the Disney Renaissance era. This is the best Disney movie ever made, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's to me a perfectly paced, perfectly executed, just great villain, wonderful romance, amazing side characters. The music is absolutely astonishing. It's got everything you want in a movie. Action, romance, humor. It was one of the first of these stupid remakes, and it's still it's one of the worst remakes ever. But I don't put that on a movie. It's not its fault that they had to try to recreate a masterpiece, and that's what it is. And everybody loves this movie, like boys, girls. You can find, I remember we all watched this as a kid, and there's not a thing about it that I don't love. I remember when I was a kid, we went on a school field trip and we just got to see in the IMAX. It was wonderful. We got to go to, we all got as kids and we had to go downtown and see it on because they did a Broadway musical out of the film and expanded some songs, which was great. Again, it's one of those movies too that just, it's got that magic. And we talked about Little Mermaid, and yes, that one had to literally walk. So this movie could fly, essentially.
Not even run, fly.
No,
it skipped.
To hell with running. This movie
beastly
flies.
crawl. It's like,
Yeah. I mean, it's
Galloped
and it's
like
like
a
under 90
beast.
minutes, which is perfect. So no one could ever say that it's too long. Yeah, it's one of those perfect movies, perfect animated films.
Now, Ryan, so my question then becomes, why are you so pro gaslighting women?
I mean, that's not true. But that's not true at all.
This just got so dangerous.
The defense rests is all I got to say on that.
I mean, all right, you can have your movies with all your father issues that you all have, but I'll take this one because it's great. So, but no, I mean,
it is great.
I mean,
it's great.
It's great.
I think you're going to be fighting an uphill battle for one, but this was a movie explicitly made because Disney was like, we can win an Oscar. We could do it. Let's legitimize animation. Let's do it. And to a certain extent, they did that, and kind of through that thoughtfulness, they also made this movie that's just good. And the songs in this one also are very great. The animation is pretty spectacular. I think about that god-awful live-action remake where they completely butcher the appeal of the animation, and it really does just make you appreciate the animation that much more.
It was the beginning of seeing all of our childhood, like, things that we love about these movies be taken out back like Old Yeller.
It's a shame.
I don't even think it's that.
There was
It's just
potential. There was potential for that live action version.
I agree.
There was not.
I know, like Kevin Kline
is
as
genuinely
Belle's
awesome in
father
that film.
is
For
where
the 2
this
minutes he's
genuinely
in,
great.
yeah, he's
really
great.
interesting.
You know
Yeah.
what I
But
mean?
it is the dawn of, not that we need to go down this rabbit hole. Lord knows we'll go down plenty, but
I'm sure one day
it
we'll
was
get
the
down to
dawn
that
of the
ranking.
two worst tendencies of those Disney live action remakes. One is addressing all of the problematic elements of the original animated films, and secondarily, it was trying to make the aesthetic of the films look realistic, where the Cogsworth had to look like a real
just
clock.
kind of made it look drab.
Lumiere had
honestly.
to look just like a candelabra that you would pick up off.
Just made it look creepy.
Fundamentally misunderstands animation.
Chip looks like the Liberty Bell. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's,
Yeah.
And then they made
yeah,
Lion
it's-
King, which is still a fully animated film, and they still were like fundamentally misunderstanding the appeal of it.
Yeah, and just make it look like a
100%.
National
Yeah.
Geographic
That movie-
documentary, but with
Yeah.
singing and talking. And
Yeah, but that
It's
movie is
so
that movie's a
bad.
nightmare.
It
It
is
is, it
really
is
is.
ridiculous that they're
Horror
like,
movie.
we want these things to look real. Oh, are they going to act real? No, they're going to like sing and dance and stuff.
Are their mouths
Yeah,
gonna
they don't
move?
treat it
Barely.
real at all.
Yeah.
No, they
okay,
don't.
Okay,
They don't. It's just a completely new lens for the movie
Yeah.
that you've
and
already
so it just
seen.
makes it look really.
Well, I think the worst thing
interesting.
about that movie is then like, or the Beauty and the Beast one, not the Lion King. No, they're both horrible. Is then like they start adding like this, like they do this time travel crap to the past about backstory. It's like this is what I love
See,
about
that's the
this
stuff
movie.
they try to fill in the blanks.
Yeah,
of the
they try to
original
fill in
movie.
blanks.
They fill in the
worst
blanks.
thing- It's the worst
But
thing.
they
those
also
movies
try and
do.
fill in the blanks by just elongating scenes we already know about. And
Yeah.
it's
But
just,
the-
it just
yeah,
kind of
but the
defeats
thing about it is,
purpose
it's
a little
like,
bit.
well, the stupid thing about that movie, and I'm not sorry, JD, is that like
Yeah, we're
going
down,
down,
this rabbit hole. The original
is
Beauty and the Beast
that-
is good.
they already expanded this. It was called the Broadway musical, and that was such a hit that all they had to do was take all the music
And
from there.
Beauty and the Beast 2, the direct-to-video sequel.
Exactly.
I assume
Come
it was
on,
called
which, by the
Belle's
way-
Revenge.
Gotta tell you, the Beauty and the Beast,
Belle's Revenge. It sounds amazing.
like where it's like an evil organ, that and it's set around the Christmas stuff. It's a good movie. It's a good
I-
movie.
I
Beauty
think-
and the Beast is very good. They started spending. You see them start to spend a little more money on celebrity names, which they're going to really start blowing out here in a movie. or
Utilized
two.
well, though, not in a distracting way, which
a
I
lot
think
of
yeah, yeah,
Broadway
it's not-
talents and
Yeah,
you know
yeah. I mean,
Angela
they got
Lansbury
great
singing Beauty and the
singers
Beast.
in
Yeah,
for the
Oh,
film,
Lansbury.
and the
Oh my
animation
God.
is very. It's a very elegant movie. And it's
Yeah.
really really good.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing before it transitions back to you, JD? And I don't want to spend too much time on this because we already went on such a rabbit hole here, but I'll just simply say, with regard to the Disney Renaissance era, these 10 movies, Beauty and the Beast is far and away my number one. Like, it's not even close. I actually think this is one of the greatest animated movies ever made.
Of these 10, this is
Of
your
these
one?
10, it's not even close. Like, this is the only 5 out of 5 star rating I'm going to give.
I
any of
might
these
win.
movies.
and this is how I win, folks.
Yeah.
Right.
And I
don't
think
know where
part
you-
of the
yeah,
reason.
this might be another one where y'all three have it at number one, and I'm like, all right, I guess we're gonna do that.
No,
No,
I know
I
JD
think
know
JD's
JD.
going to have a different
We're-
one as number one, but
we're
I
gonna
don't
have
want
a
to speak
fight.
for him.
Yeah.
And again, it's like I think what makes this one work for me more than the others, and maybe it's not really fair to the movie because there might be some other movies that are technically better at what they do respectively, but this is one of those animated movies that really prioritizes itself first as a musical and a romance. Like, there are many times watching this, I forget
agree
I'm
with that.
watching an animated movie. And it
Yeah.
might just be due to the musicality, just the shot compositions. I think about the
Mhm.
whole "Be Our Guest" musical number, which is,
It's
I think, one of
incredible.
the greatest musical numbers of any movie, period. Regardless if it's a musical
Exactly, yeah.
or an animated movie or whatever. The Beauty and the Beast sequence that we alluded to, sung by Angela Lansbury, that overhead
That's the number
shot.
for me. That whole
even-
sequence to me
yeah.
is an all timer.
It just the
Even Gaston and
Here-
the-
you know,
like,
here's
that's-
what and here's what I love.
great.
It's a great musical number, but here's what I love about Gaston as a villain. It's that it's so rare to find movie villains like this that are actually funny. You know, like that. Actually,
yeah,
like
he's,
you can.
he's really funny. I agree
Yeah,
with
and
that.
I love that. I think this film does a really good job kind of deconstructing the traditional norms that we see from Disney romances.
Although what the early Renaissance films do so well, they have some iconic villains. Gaston
Yeah.
being one of them, but Ursula, we're about to talk about two specifically. that
Yeah,
I
yeah, we
certainly
are.
think fall into that category.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
But I do think Beauty and the Beast is of its kind. I think it's a perfect movie. Like, if I'm ranking all of Disney, all of Walt Disney Animation Studios specifically, these 60 whatever movies that they are,
Mhm.
I'd probably put Beauty and the Beast at number 2, just behind Pinocchio. I like it that much. So whether it ends up at number 1 or not in our collective ranking, I don't know, because it depends on how that argument will be. But I'll try my best to fight for it. I really
Yeah.
love
All
it.
right.
I do think this is really great. I fully walked into this episode anticipating that this would be our collective number one. It's not my number one.
Wow,
not.
it's interesting. I thought of a different movie that we were going to have as a collective.
thought
number
I
I
would
one.
figured
be
it
the
would be
lone-
No,
pretty
I-
easy for another film. To be
I thought I'd be
Yeah.
Gore Verbinski and be the Lone Ranger on this movie. You know
No,
what I mean?
see, I knew how you felt, Ryan. I knew how Brendan felt. Jay was a little bit of a mystery box to me.
That's
but
my
I-
thing.
That's his thing. He loves being that mystery box for sure. I fully 1000% expected it. I've already accepted it. It's not my number one. The film I have in that spot, I feel similarly to Brennan. It's not even close. It is one of the best, if not the best animated film ever made. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But this is still a 5-star masterpiece for me, Beauty and the Beast, that is. I mean, every song is incredible. And even outside of that, the score by Alan Menken is incredible.
Yeah.
One of the best scores ever put together, animated film or not. It is absolutely remarkable. The animation, as you guys are talking about, is stunning.
Ashman too, I believe.
Ashman's involved in this. Yeah.
they're
is.
both. Yeah, they're both working together. I mean, like that was the only great thing. The only great thing about the whole press tour for the stupid remake was having Megan come out and do the piano and playing the songs during interviews and a lot of the songs during this Renaissance and playing the score for this. I was just like, oh, so I'm just going to cry to 5-minute interviews now on YouTube because of this.
It's
the hell with this movie.
Really
I'm gonna just cry because of this, because it's so, and they also I mean, like, it's such an iconic piece of now Disney's culture is this movie too. It's you know, that yellow dress, that blue suit, dancing and
the fact that Belle herself is just kind of a normal person, right? Like
she's very smart. She's a very smart.
It's not necessarily about royalty or trying to achieve royalty.
She's not trying to be a princess.
Yeah, I mean, while that is achieved by the end, and maybe you can argue that is a little bit counterintuitive, there is still this embrace at normalcy that this movie has that the other ones don't tend to have, which I really respect about it.
And Belle is my favorite Disney princess, if we're going to label her that.
She's
certainly my favorite protagonist.
Every character, you know, we didn't even talk about this with The Little Mermaid, but from a character standpoint, The Little Mermaid really strives on its sidekicks. Like we talked Sebastian, Flounder, Scuttle, Ursula, we talked about her. Like the sidekicks are great, but Beauty and the Beast, every character here is just so endearing to watch in their own respective way.
They're all great.
It's such a great ensemble.
Belle's a little more fleshed out than Ariel.
Well,
sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, for
she
the
has
reasons
books,
we talked about earlier.
You know, Ariel.
Yeah.
She's well read.
Yeah, she's well read up.
There's no denying she's a funny girl, that Belle. I do really love her as a character. And one other thing I want to mention, because you guys were talking about the animation earlier, and this is somewhat in relation to Gaston, and I do agree that he's a really great antagonist here. I think it's also important to remember that they get the look, the design, the animation of the Beast perfectly.
I agree.
Because he needs to have that intimidating,
you see the opposite of that
nasty
in the
presence.
live action remake, where they
Which,
did not get
again,
the
in
design
comparison to that, they get horribly wrong. And yeah, I mean, because Beast has to come off as this intimidating figure that, you know, on its face, you know, Belle would want nothing to do with. And obviously that is such a foundational element to the film thematically.
Softness,
Yes, which they, of course, then deconstruct over the film, as you guys were talking about. And it's absolutely fantastic. So it's my number 2 on this list. It's not quite my number 1, but again, when this inevitably becomes number 1 in this power ranking, I'm not going to have.
Regardless,
I'm not gonna be too upset about it.
I think we can already kind of predict this. I don't want to say what the other film is that you're alluding to, JD, that I'm sure you're also going to want to defend, Jay, but I think we're going to have the same top 2 when it comes to the end of this. How they order, I'm not sure how that'll end up being.
I have a different number 2, but whatever. Beauty and the Beast is my number 3. I think it's very good.
We'll see. We'll see about that.
But speaking to JD's thing about the Beast design, and this is not topical to what we're talking about today, but exactly what you're talking about, JD, is why I think Stitch is like the greatest piece of animation design of all time, because he has to be scary and gross and adorable all at once.
See, I don't like Stitch. I don't like Stitch.
Well, you're a fool.
I am a fool. I don't like Stitch. I rewatched that movie. I thought this guy's just a creepy little monger, and I don't like him.
That's a
okay. We'll get to that at the next power ranking.
Next power ranking. Or I have, as much as I love the filmmakers behind Lilo and Stitch, I don't care for that movie anymore.
You're right, Jay. Stitch good.
Despicable.
I
watched
know,
it
this fool me,
5
right?
times in the last 3 months.